Extraction is the type of film that seems like it was cooked up in a laboratory. The main attraction is mega action hero Chris Hemsworth, who also appears to have been created by scientists. Throw in a little bit of Die Hard, a sprinkling of The Raid, a teaspoon of John Wick, and a heavy serving of Man on Fire, and voila, Extraction. Hemsworth is Tyler Rake, and yes, the movie acknowledges that this man is named after a landscaping tool. Rake is a black market mercenary whose sole interest is making sure that he executes his mission and then receives that hefty paycheck. His missions typically involve removing people from dangerous situations or finding a person and inserting a sharp object into their body repeatedly until they stop living. He appears, by all accounts, to be very good at this particular role. If you need a car stolen, a grenade thrown, or a gun fired quickly, he is the man for the job. Well, if the movie was him just doing loud, violent movie things for no particular reason, it would be more akin to the last two Transformers movies not called Bumblebee, but mercifully, it is not. Extraction is a full-blooded action movie, with Rake and his team being recruited to rescue a young boy named Ovi in the Bangladesh city of Dhaka. The boy's father is a criminal figure in prison, and the kidnappers work for a rival crime lord. All of this sets the stage for all-out war between gang members, rival mercenaries, and a former special forces operative who was charged with protecting the boy in the first place. There's not really a lot that I could spoil in terms of plot, with some light twists and turns, but nothing that's gonna keep you up at night. Hemsworth, who the movie clearly revolves around, was made for movies just like this. He projects just the right amount of vulnerability, and I felt genuinely interested in seeing his story through. The fate of secondary characters concerned me slightly less, but all of the acting performances here are just fine. A quick side note, Hemsworth gets to keep his Aussie accent, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't disappointed that he doesn't say crikey. Not even once. Come to think of it, I don't even think he called anyone mate. Rake's fellow mercenaries are mostly irrelevant. With zero screen time being spent to develop any sort of relationships between the crew, there is actually more time spent giving us backstory on the quote bad guys, but even all of that is relatively thin. Something that the movie also boldly dips into is the use of child soldiers. This can sometimes be a taboo subject, but kudos to the filmmakers for not just tossing in a few scenes, but actually making them an integral part of the story. Anytime you have a movie or show about a child being kidnapped, the chemistry between the kid and the rescuer is paramount to the success of the story. Rake's backstory, sprinkled throughout the film with light flashbacks and dialogue exchanges, helps us realize that our hero has some pretty significant, shall we say, issues, both in the past and the present. This relatability helps push that chemistry between Tyler and Ovi to the forefront, and the filmmakers did a remarkably good job handling that aspect of the film. Now, I've said a lot of positive things about Extraction, but I would be remiss if I didn't share some of the things this movie doesn't do particularly well. The extremely limited character development that I briefly touched on earlier is one thing, but my biggest gripe about the entire experience is how the movie ends. I'm not going to spoil it, but I am going to complain about it. If you're gonna make a movie and you want it to say something, then just say something. When you shoehorn a moment that borders on pandering fan service into literally the last shot of the movie, congratulations on undermining the very thing you spent 2 hours building in the first place. Maybe this is just a personal pet peeve of mine, but the ending of Extraction is so absurdly Hollywood, which is ironic given that this movie is a huge release for Netflix, which has built their entire service around disrupting the Hollywood status quo. I have a feeling that someone was told by one of their higher-ups to put this ending into the movie, and it's a real shame. So, Extraction, a good movie that really does hit the sweet spot between action and heart, but feels completely undermined by the final frame. I liked the movie, but I can't with a good conscience say that I loved it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy my content, please click that red button that says subscribe, as well as the notification bell so you can see whenever one of my reviews goes live. You can also like the video, share it, or comment below, and all those things help the channel grow. I'm working on a very special bonus episode that will go live this weekend. It's significantly longer than any of my previous shows, so keep an eye out for it. Thanks again, and I will see you next time, as long as Chris Hemsworth doesn't dislocate both of my shoulders.